Welcome to my craft table. Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's craft table. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I used this element, this element, and this element from Versailles. I used the deer and the little heart flower and this element from Dashing Deer. From Waterfront, I used just this little sun, and I used this large circle from Swirly Frames. So let's get started. You're also going to need a piece of Whisper White, which is 4 by 5 1/4, a piece of Poppy Parade, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and your card base. This is thick, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. For inks, I have, there's a whole big pile of them here. I don't think I'm going to use them all, but I have Poppy Parade. I think I used Pineapple Punch instead of the, used Crushed Curry instead of the Pineapple Punch. Didn't use Crumb Cake in this one. Let's see. Okay, so Poppy Parade, Early Espresso, Blueberry Bushel, Crushed Curry, Old Olive, and Balmy Blue. Those are the colors I used for this one. And Memento. And then if you want a little bit of gold accent, I have the Delicata Gold. Okay, so let's get started on stamping. First thing I'm going to do is bring in this circle, the swirly, and the Early Espresso ink, and I'm going to stamp that swirly. Now this is going to be stamped down towards the bottom half of the page, a little bit closer to this side, because we're going to put the leaf branch coming down it. Okay, perfect. And we're done with the Early Espresso. Okay, so now we'll bring in the Old Olive. This leaf from the Versailles. Alright. We're going to stamp this down, going across this way. So it's kind of hugging that circle. Alright. Then we're going to bring this one in. And we're going to stamp that. I'm going to bring in my color lifter because there's 2 little flowers on here. And I'm going to lift off the green ink off those flowers, or most of it. It's not the color lifter, it's the blender pen. Now you could use this to draw with, but I'm just really trying to erase the ink off of those flowers. I didn't do it on my first one, and I was wishing that I had. Then you're just going to scribble this off on to get rid of that color. I'll do that later. Breathe on it to reactivate that ink. And I'm going to stamp this right at the bottom of this circle, so it kind of looks like it's a stand for that. So it kind of looks like a snow globe. And you'll see there's still some green ink that came out, but that's alright. It's not as dark, so it looks better. Okay, so we're done with the green. Okay, now we're going to come in with Let's do this one first. The crushed curry. And this is the sun stamp from the waterfront, but I've turned it over because I want a larger footprint, a larger shape so I turned it over, and I'm going to stamp that. And I'm going to stamp it about here, and then I'm going to pick it up and just kind of hop it around a little bit to get a little bit of a lighter halo around that image. Okay, we're done with that color. Alright, now I have a punch. It's a 3/4 inch. I think it's 3/4 inch, yeah. Circle punch. It is retired, but, and that's out of sticky note paper. I don't need it yet because I need to stamp the deer first. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the memento. And this deer with the antlers. I should get it inked up really well because his body is a silhouette. If you don't, you're going to have a lot of shadowing. Okay, now I'm going to stamp that so some of his antlers is coming into the sun there, or the moon, whatever, however you want to translate that. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to do the other deer over here. Again, make sure you get it inked up really well. A little more. And that one's going to get stamped over here. Just trying to make sure I don't have him like teetering, that he's straight. Okay. Okay, we're done with the black ink. Okay, now we're going to, I'm going to bring in the blueberry bushel and my little post-it note thing. I'm going to stick that over that sun because we're going to be doing a little bit of sponging or inking. And I'm just going to ink over this circle. And it's alright if it goes out of it a little bit. Just don't want to make a green sun or a green moon, so that's why I'm masking it. It's not a lot, just a little bit here. Okay, now we're going to come in with a poppy parade. Excuse me. Sorry about that, I had to turn off my computer. Alright, so I'm going to bring in that little flower. First I'm going to stamp where these other flowers were. I'm going to stamp a little cluster of flowers down here. And I'm stamping and then stamping a couple more times. And you'll see on this little branch, I thought I turned that off, there's these little twigs. So I'm going to put some flower bunches in amongst those twigs. there's just a space up here, so I'm going to stamp a couple up there. I want some over here. Okay, so there's that part. Stamp a couple over there. Okay, so then the last step that I did is I brought in the delicata, and I think I only did this because I didn't like how that stamped out, but I'm going to bring in this stamp, the delicata ink. I'm going to stamp this down here underneath that scrolly. And I'm going to bring this sun thing back in. I'm going to get a little bit of gold on my, I turned it over so it's the smaller side. I'm going to add a little bit of gold onto that sun. And I don't want it covering the antler, so I'm just wiping it off the antler. Okay, so that's all that stamping. And the last thing is with the balmy blue ink. And this stamp, make sure it's looking like it's right side up. And I just stamped it down over the center of that circle. There we go. Okay, now we can make the card. And before I go any farther, I do want to clean this delicata ink off of my stamps because it's hard to clean off if you let it dry. And you might want to use the actual Stampin' Scrub for this. I'll get the worst of it off and then I'll clean it better. Alright, now we're going to bring in the Poppy Parade layer, the Tombow glue. Layer these up. It's just that small border. Oh, I bet I didn't trim this Poppy Parade layer down. That's alright. We'll just center it up on there. We'll just put it on like that. So this is going to be 5.5 by 4 1/4 because I forgot to trim it down. That's alright. Just want to have that extra layer. Alright, then I took some baker's twine. This has gold thread running through it. This is from my stash. I wrapped it around my fingers 3 times. Where's my good scissors? I'm having a hard time finding a pair of scissors that are going to cut. I use all of them on everything, so oh, that one worked. Okay. So this one that goes through the top, I'm going to wrap it under, go through the center here. This is going to come up. I should have made that a little bit longer. And there's a loop here. It's going to go through the loop from the back side. I'll fumble fingers on camera, of course. Alright. And you can take that loop right off of your finger. Pull that tight. Okay, and then that's going to get glued right there with a glue dot. trim these tails. And I glued it right there on top of that. Okay, there's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day and have some fun playing with your stamps today.